This episode of Bulletproof Cash Flow is brought to you by Realty Dynamics. Learn how people like you can build substantial passive income while creating wealth for the long term through real estate investing. Visit rdyne.com. That's RDYNE.com.
I think a lot of people that are raising money inherently know or are inherently in love with their project. And they make the assumption, making an ass of you and me, they make the assumption that somebody knows everything about the deal like you do. Now, you've been immersed in your business for years most of the time when you're raising money. And you expect within 2 minutes someone to know all the aspects. So you actually need to practice articulating the quantitative value of your deal to exceed what you're asking for.
Working because you want to, not because you have to, is financial freedom. And we want to help you create that. Welcome to the Bulletproof Cash Flow Show. We're going to teach you how to achieve lifetime financial freedom through real estate investment. Your host is a multifamily syndicator and property developer. He's done deals reaching into the hundreds of millions of dollars. You'll hear from experts in all aspects of real estate investment, finance, development, and management. Everything you need is right here. This is the Bulletproof Cash Flow Show. And this is your host, Augustino Pintus.
Hey everyone, it's Augustino. Building credibility in the multifamily real estate space is crucial to getting deals sent your way and to get investors over the line to invest with you. Now, aside from understanding how to put deals together, which is of course important, the branding of your message, meeting with brokers, and of course investors to recognize you as a deal maker is absolutely critical. Now, our next guest knows all about this and knows all about building successful businesses. He is a 3-time international best-selling author, a top 100 business coach, the executive producer of Entrepreneur's #1 digital business show, Elevator Pitch, and host of the top entrepreneur podcast, The Playbook. Now, on the show, he has conversations with influential CEOs, sports icons, successful entrepreneurs who share their personal and professional play-by-play of the what, the why, and the how to achieve anything you set your mind to. Additionally, he is the author of the best-selling book, Game Time Decision Making. With all that, I'd like to welcome David Meltzer to the show. David, buddy, thanks for coming on, man.
Oh, I'm excited to be here. Can't wait to help empower others to make money, help people, and have fun. Love for anyone, as you know, to reach out to me anytime. Can email me directly, david@dmeltzer.com. So let's get started, man.
Yeah, no, I'm super excited. I've been looking forward to this for a while. And just as, if you like what David has to say, obviously you can email him and of course, check out his website too at dmeltzer.com. All right, David, go ahead and tell listeners a little bit about your journey. Like, how'd you get started with what you're doing these days?
You know, I always say if you connected to dots backwards to where I am today, nobody would believe it was possible to be where I am. And so I started out wanting to be a professional football player in the world of not enough, where a single mom raised me and 5 of my siblings, working 2 jobs, packing my dinner in a paper bag. I thought I'd be a professional athlete, a professional football player, and I did everything I could to be that player. But unfortunately, the energetic and genetic inheritance that I received would not give me a high enough potential to play in the NFL, but I did play in college. And that's when I shifted from a world of not enough, of being a victim, into a world of just enough. I got ran over by Christian Okoye, decided I'd be a doctor, got some great advice from my older brother who was a doctor. When I told him I hated hospitals, he told me, "Are you kidding me? You hate hospitals and want to be a doctor?" I was like, "Yeah, I want to be a sports doctor." And he told me, "Be more interested than interesting." And that changed my life. And so following the direction of my mom, doctor, lawyer, or failure, I decided to be an oil and gas litigator because they made a lot of money and I could buy my mom a house and a car. I went to the top maritime law school in the country, Tulane University, where I could be an oil and gas litigator. And sure enough, when I graduated, not only did I have a job offer to be an oil and gas litigator, but I also, because I always kept my options open because I wanted to be rich, I had a sales offer in the internet in 1992. And of course, I went to my mom, who's my trusted advisor, and asked her what I should do. Without blinking, she told me, "You better be a real lawyer. The internet is never going to last. People won't do research online. They'll need books. The internet's a fad. And once again, the second lesson in my journey was just because someone loves you doesn't mean they give you good advice. And luckily, I became a sales rep in the industry of the internet, legal research online, 9 months out of law school, millionaire, and started my journey of confirming that money could buy you love and happiness, and bought my mom that house and a car. I was part of the exit in 1995, $3.4 billion exit of us publishing to Thomson Reuters. I then went up to the Silicon Valley, worked in the middleware space, and we raised over $169 million transcoding the internet onto WAP phones, flip phones. And lo and behold, by the time I was 30, I was a multi-millionaire. I was running Samsung's phone division, their PCE phone, the first convergence device, which is now later called a smartphone. But in 1999, it was converging cell phones and laptops into a handheld. And I had everything I ever dreamed of. I married my dream girl. I had houses and cars, and I had a golf course, a ski mountain. Everything I wanted was mine. But my journey led to some great lessons from the world of now what I call just enough, buying things I didn't need, surrounding myself with people that had bad ideas and bad situations to impress those people that I didn't even like, to a world of more than enough. And through that journey, I lost everything. While I was running Lee Steinberg Sports and Entertainment, the most notable sports agency in the world, where I was a multimillionaire and had access to things that even billionaires couldn't afford to do, I lost everything. And that's when my journey started to shift the paradigm of trying to get happy, trying to get healthy, trying to get wealthy, trying to get worthy, to one of understanding I am happy, healthy, wealthy, and worthy. What am I doing to interfere with it? I created faith in my life that there was simply something bigger than me that loved me more than my mom loved me. And through that journey, as we connect the dots forward, I ended up starting a sports marketing company with Warren Moon. We had a global sports marketing company. In the last 5 years, I used all the relationship capital, skills, knowledge, and desire to build my own brand for one purpose: to empower over 1 billion people to be happy. So I have one of the top podcasts in the world. I have TV shows, movies. I coach. I speak on stages around the world for one simple purpose. I want to find 1,000 people like you that will empower 1,000 to empower 1,000 to make more money, help more people, and be more happy, to have more fun. That's the simple truth of what I'm doing. And I'm creating as much content as I can, including being here on this interview, with the hopes of empowering others and planting seeds under trees I may never sit under.
Excellent, excellent. I love that mission, because I think you and I both know the more people we can help, the bigger difference we can make in their lives. And that's why we do what we do, right? Every day. It's just phenomenal. So now a big part of what we do as real estate investors, what we do actually is we will go and raise money from folks, right? And this involves building the credibility, building those connections, building the network, like you mentioned before. What are some of the things that people really need to be doing to do just that? Because for many folks that are just starting in this business, especially for those folks that are starting in this business, they kind of don't have that guidance. They turn to guys like us, or maybe even to these types of materials, this content, to figure it out. But I'd love to get your perspective. Like, when you first started, how did you do it? How did you establish those connections? And what length of time did it take for you to do all that?
Yeah, so I use 5 different criteria in order to effectuate raising money and building that network, that relationship capital that is just a matter of how many zeros your audience and your trust is with. And so for me, the number one thing that most people overlook is credibility. I work very hard on my credibility so that whatever I ask for is taken into great consideration. Meaning, most people overlook credibility and don't realize that, for example, if I'm 100% credible, which I've never been, even to my wife, but if I was 100% credible, no matter what I say, people would do. I could say, look, give me $1 million. I'll give you $2 million at the end of the year. They wouldn't even ask why. They wouldn't even ask for what, if I was 100% credible. But what I find is people pay no attention to credibility. They lie, manipulate, cheat. They oversell, back-end sell. They unintentionally exaggerate or put things into favorable positions, or even worse, they omit things, or they don't illuminate the negative or the challenges, and they lose 99% of the deals because they have not focused in on credibility.
Hey, Augustino here, and I would love to connect directly with you. Text the word books to 844-428-1344 to receive weekly book recommendations from me.
Credibility is the exponential factor to success in business, but also in raising money. 2, I'm very good at this one naturally. It's connecting emotionally. People buy and give money on emotion for logical reasons. So I have a templated system that I'm happy to email everyone, david@dmeltzer.com, open-ended question guide. So my emotional connection secret is I simply ask people, hey, what are you investing in today? What do you like about it? What don't you like about it? Would it help you if I did this? And do you know anyone that could help me? And when I ask that, they'll say, yeah, I'd like to be involved, or I know someone that would like to be involved. But that is not only enhancing the credibility of what I'm doing, but it creates this emotional connection, and people buy on emotion for logical reasons. And it increases my community of sponsors, people that know people to help me, and power sponsors, people that can help me themselves and know someone that can help me. The third component in raising money is the ability to articulate the quantitative value of what I'm asking for to be less than what I'm going to give, meaning articulate the quantitative value to exceed what I'm asking for. And when I say articulate, I slow down and stress it because I think a lot of people that are raising money inherently know or are inherently in love with their project. And they make the assumption, making an ass of you and me, they make the assumption that somebody knows everything about the deal like you do. Now, you've been immersed in your business for years most of the time when you're raising money. And you expect within 2 minutes someone to know all the aspects. So you actually need to practice articulating the quantitative value of your deal to exceed what you're asking for. Your statistical success will increase exponentially. The fourth thing that you need to do is, especially today, most people didn't do this in the past. We always have, since Lee Steinberg and I have raised money and tied ourselves as advisors to multiple companies. You need to show impact. More than ever today, the exponentiality of value will be increased quantitatively if you can show impact. This is going to save the environment. This will save the whales. This will help children with their mental health. Whatever it may be, the greater the impact, the greater the exponential quantitative value. And it allows you also to tie into the emotional aspect and to articulate the quantitative value with credibility of being someone who gives and helps others. Then finally, the fifth one, the most misunderstood one. The first one, credibility, is most ignored. The fifth one is the misunderstood one, which is capabilities. A lot of people call this the features and benefits. Most people that raise money think that they can raise money on features and benefits or capability. No, capability, step 5, is just an arsenal. Know your product, service, or solution so well that you can utilize the capabilities, the features and benefits as an arsenal to add credibility, to add emotional connection, to add value, quantitative value, and to add to the impact. Each one of your capabilities should be tied into those 4 aspects that are previously aforementioned that allow you to increase the quantitative value, to transition interest, to increase the statistical success in your ability to raise money. These are the 5 essential things that you need to focus in on, pay attention to, give intention to create the coincidences and success that you want.
Excellent. So one thing that I've done, and when I coach my folks, is I tell them to put together a credibility book. And it's a book that outlines, maybe you put a team together, you convince this team to do business with you, property management, lenders, whoever, all the people you're going to need to get a deal done. And then put it into a nice, concise, good-looking piece of material, right? Is that what you mean by credibility, or do you have something else in mind besides something like that?
It's a perfect matter of credibility, and I would add a go, no-go plan. So it's one thing to adhere to all the great relationship capital and situational knowledge that becomes apparent in that book and the documentation that you may precede the book to gather or stimulate interest. But a go, no-go plan shows even more in-depth knowledge of the space and more credibility, that here's all the different people that are involved, here's all the different steps that we need to take. But if you can incorporate that into timing, where you can get sign off each step of the way via an investor, especially in real estate, you'll find that the baby step approach to getting 20 yeses to get to where you want to be instead of just one big yes is much less resistant and effortless than the normal course of business that most people that do not put more interest in, that do not spend. I always say there's an empty mile. Everyone talks about go the extra mile. Don't go the extra mile every once in a while. Go the extra mile every day. Then you'll be in the empty mile. Nobody will be there to compete against you because most people don't have the capability or discipline to go the extra mile every day. If you go the extra mile every day, you'll be in the empty mile of business, the less competitive, less resistant, less effort involved in the empty mile.
Yeah. Well, I think part of it, though, too, is that empty mile is usually where people have already given up before that, right? Because raising money, I'm sure you'll attest to this, it's not easy. It's very tough. You're going to hear a lot of no's, especially when you're first starting up. But this is part of the grueling work that comes into building the business, right? Building whatever it is you're doing in terms of raising capital for your deals. You have to get a lot of no's before you get that yes, right? And you're going to learn every single time, every single no, you're going to learn something new. I would say,
the more
right?
you learn from the no's, the faster you'll get to a yes. And you're guaranteed every no, if you find a lesson in it, becomes a promotion to a yes. It's not punishment. And when you take that perspective, you will continue to make things easier on yourself. I usually institute a 25 no rule for stimulating interest in that manner, meaning that every no I get more excited because it just means I'm closer to a yes. It doesn't mean I'm going in the wrong direction.
Yes. No. So what sort of questions do you have any questions you would ask for a potential investor? Like, do you have any favorites that it's your go-to no matter what? Yeah.
Yeah, and so that's that open-ended question template, right? I keep things very simple because the first qualification and questions that I ask are simply to determine whether someone has an open mind or a closed mind. The biggest fault in raising money is people literally spend 80% of their time on people that will never say yes. And that's because they think they can overcome, outsell, oversell, back-end sell, go around, under, or through an objection, instead of saying to themselves, I'm looking for open minds, because if someone has an open mind, they have open hearts and open hands, and they know other people that have open hearts and open hands and open minds. Therefore, my first qualification in questioning is to see if someone has an open mind. So either with a statement or a question, I'm trying to ask to see if someone has an open mind. So I make a joke, maybe about a hat they're wearing for a competitive sports team, or I simply ask them, hey, where are you from? And if they give me an open-ended answer, I qualify them. Now all I got to do is saying, hey, do you do any real estate investment, or do you do any investment in technology? Or are you involved in this? Oh, what do you like about it? What don't you like it? If they say, no, I don't. Oh, are you interested in it? Oh, yeah, I just don't know enough about it. Oh, would you mind if I taught you? Or if they say, no, I'm not interested in it, and would you like to learn about it? No, not really, but they're open-minded. Then I'll say, do you know anyone else that may be interested? Oh, my brother-in-law does a ton of Airbnbs, flips, whatever. Oh, would you mind making that introduction? And then moving from there, is there anything else I can do for you? So utilizing open-ended questions to find open hearts and open hands and open minds increases exponentially my success, because my main objective is simply to provide value, to be accessible, and to be gracious, and to build a network of sponsors and power sponsors of open-minded, open-hearted, and open-handed people. And that creates an extraordinary statistical success, not just in investment, in everything from finding a babysitter to renting a car to visiting a city to getting a food recommendation. I'm telling you, there's no better network to have than open-minded, open-hearted, and open-handed people.
And I love that analogy too. It's like, because if they're not even open to listening to what you're saying, they're not going to buy from you. They're not going to invest with you. Skip it, pull them from whatever other information you get, and move on to the next one. You're absolutely right. People bang their head against the wall against people are just not going to, they don't believe in the business, whatever the case may be, move on. That's exactly right.
1,000 times the energy to re-engineer a closed mind than to work with an open mind. And just because someone may not seem to be, in a decision-making capacity, if he's open-minded or she's open-minded, there's huge opportunity because you never know who they're friends with, who their uncle is, their aunt is, who their mom is, who their grandpa, who their neighbor is. My biggest deals have come from keeping an open mind and providing value to people that I don't expect anything back from. And it always ends up that they're the ones who have the most impact on my life.
Nice. Excellent. Well, we're coming to that time. What sort of, so someone's been listening right now, and hopefully they're getting a lot of knowledge, a lot of great information here on raising money. What sort of bulletproof advice would you offer that individual listening right now?
Ask for help. Think about it when you go to ask for help in person, on the phone, via email, via media, social and traditional media. When you go to ask for help, think to yourself, the only thing I want to kill off in my life is my limitations. The fastest way to get to where I want to be is ask someone that's already there for directions. The easiest way to get to what I want is to ask someone to help me. And the best way I can make someone feel good about themselves is to ask them for help. So ask big, ask often, ask for more. Live in a world of value add. Add value yourself and realize others are adding value to you. It's not a zero-sum game. If you ask to receive something, it doesn't take away from anything. It adds value to it by asking for help. The number one rule I have, I still check my outbox on my email to see how many asks are on each of my sent items to make sure that I'm in the gracious habit of making people feel better by asking them for help and expanding and growing my network of open-minded, open-hearted, and open-handed sponsors and power sponsors that have continually, exponentially increased my ability to what? Make a lot of money, help a lot of people, and have a lot of fun.
Excellent. Love it. And I know you got on your website, got a lot of material out there too, right?
Oh, absolutely. I got my Playbook, the podcast. I have several books out there. I have TV shows on Bloomberg Television, Apple TV. I have, free trainings on Friday I've been doing for 22 years. I have multiple digital shows from office hours to my IG lives every day. So if you can't find me, you're not looking for me, but just email me, david@dmeltzer.com, or Google me, David Meltzer, david@dmeltzer.com. I'm more than happy for your entire audience. I will sign a book, send it to you, pay for shipping if you'd like, or any exercises, the open-ended question template. Happy to send to everyone, david@dmeltzer.com.
Excellent. All right, guys. Want to reach out to David, just like you said, reach him via his website, dmeltzer.com. Don't forget to check out his material. He's got a lot of great stuff out there. He can certainly help you with really getting away from that fear, putting you into a growth mindset, and trying to go and raise that money you need for your deals. Thanks for tuning in. I'll see you next episode.
You've been listening to the Bulletproof Cashflow Show. We hope you've enjoyed the show. We know we had fun. Make sure to visit our Apple Podcast page and leave us a 5-star review. We hope you've gotten some useful and practical information from the show. For real estate coaching, events, and resources, hit up bulletproofcashflow.com. Till next time.
No information in this episode should be considered specific, personal, or professional advice. Any investment opportunities mentioned on this show are limited to accredited or sophisticated investors. Any investments will only be made with proper disclosure and subscription documentation and subject to all applicable laws. Please consult an appropriate tax, legal, real estate, financial, or business professional for individualized advice.